On October 2nd, we learned that prosecutors were seriously looking into the notion of a large door left open near the stern of the Bayesian. The large door makes sense. It explains how such a large vessel could have sunk so rapidly. But now a new photo has emerged. Apparently this is the new last photo that seemingly shows no door was open.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear thoughts build up until I can't. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science, the most authentic voice in true crime. Ask me right now what I think happened in terms of this case. And I would have to say,
I don't know. Just don't know.
According to the Daily Mail, a photo of the ill-fated BAYESIAN superyacht, which was taken minutes before it sank, apparently 14 minutes before it sank, appears to show that a door in the vessel was closed after claims it had been left open. The snap, according to the Daily Mail, taken by a passenger on board a neighboring yacht, the Sir Robert Baden-Powell. Well, that contradicts allegations that the crew mistakenly left a door open and allowed water to flood the boat. And this is really important because if this is true, then the crew are off the hook. Then it's not a case, well, that's one aspect where there's apparently not negligence. Apparently this photo was taken 14 minutes before the Bayesian went down during a freak storm off the coast of Sicily, killing 7 people, including Mike Lynch, the British tech tycoon, as well as his 18-year-old daughter Hannah, who was about to study in Oxford. Does it look like this photo was taken before, during, or after the storm? Have a look at the gold-gilded silhouette of water on the bottom right. The sea looks very calm, doesn't it? Before we get to further analysis on the subject, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. If you haven't watched the timeline that we've compiled, have a look at that. I'll put a link to that in the description. Also, if you're interested in the Madeleine McCann case, I'm going to be dealing with a very interesting article that came out in the Independent, which basically reviews the whole case up until now. How accurate is that review? So look out for that. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, please like, share, leave a comment. You can also hit the thanks button and let's get started. So if this image, purportedly the last photo, the new last photo, was taken before the storm, well then it means in the space of 14 minutes, quite a few things have to happen. The storm has got to hit, this super large vessel has to flood and sink, the lights have got to go out, and all of that with the bay door apparently closed. Does that make sense? Now going back to the article, 2 photographs which are said to be published in an ITV documentary broadcast on Thursday, that's today, that they appear to show the door shut in the hours and minutes leading up to the sinking. So I guess there's one photo that's taken minutes before and then another taken hours before. I've got an idea, we've seen that photo already. According to the article, passengers on board the Sir Robert Baden-Powell, a yacht that was anchored about 100 meters from the Bayesian, took the photos. Now, what were the passengers of the nearby yacht doing up and ambulant, and what's more, taking photos? You know, if there was this devastating storm and these photos were taken, or one of the photos was taken 14 minutes before the craft went down, you know, how could someone have the presence of mind, the freedom to take a photo? There seems to be no sign of passengers or crew on the deck of the Bayesian, and it's hard to tell if it's even raining at this point. If it is, it's fairly light. Going back to the article, Karsten Borner, the Dutch captain, some people have nitpicked on that point, saying now he's actually a German captain, but he was living in the Netherlands at the time and operating a Dutch vessel. He was the captain of the Sir Robert Baden-Powell. He supplied the photos for the documentary. Now that's quite a strange point as well, because we've just seen earlier in the article that they say passengers on board took the photos. So now I'm assuming for both of these statements to be correct. Passengers took the photos, gave it to the captain, and he then handed these in. He apparently gave these photos to the German newspaper Der Spiegel, and said that he was irritated by repeated attempts by the ship's builder to pin the blame on the crew. Now, it could be that he knows what's going on, that he's got unusual insight into this, but you can also imagine as a captain, he would be someone who would tend to perhaps be supportive of the crew. Going back to the article, Borner's frustration came after Giovanni Constantino, owner of the Perini Navy Company, which built the Bayesian in 2008, described the yacht as unsinkable and claimed the crew must have left doors or hatches open, allowing water in. A spokesperson for the Italian Sea Group, the company which made the Bayesian, denied that the photo proved the stern door of the boat was open, or that other footage showing a boat rolling over in a storm was in fact the Bayesian. Wow, he's actually saying the photo isn't even of the Bayesian. And I must acknowledge, on my channel, I've shown footage of a boat rolling over in a storm. That is not the Bayesian. That's just to show a similar example of that. Certainly not to mislead anybody. Now, in terms of this new last photo, I'm not sure I would go that far to say it's not even the Bayesian. It looks like the Bayesian to me. The conditions look right generally, but the quality is admittedly pretty awful. Going back to the article, quote, the firm said in a statement, the first photo shows the Bayesian side view on with the heads of the people, in particular the third on the right covering the portalone. The photo was not taken during the storm. One can see 3 people quietly at sea. The photo could have been taken at any time. Now, that's a valid point, and it's something we deal with in true crime all the time. Is this photo legitimate? Also, when was this photo taken? I do think an easy way to validate the footage is to look at the metadata, unless this has been tampered with. Of course, that is possible. I can't really see the Sir Robert Baden-Powell captain or any of the passengers doing that, though. So if the image is legit, it does call into question why the passengers and crew of the one vessel are up and running on deck, whereas no one seems to be on deck on the Bayesian. Now, going back to the article, Italian firefighter Fabio Paoletti, who dived into the water to help find the bodies on board, said the hardest victim to find was Hannah Lynch. The girl was at the end in the last room. She was of small stature and hidden by a mattress, so it took longer to see her, he said. It's hard to imagine 7 people dying, including young Hannah, if they were already awake. And how hard could it have been to have one crew member go and rouse the passengers and have them all assemble on deck? Because it seems like that didn't happen. On the other hand, if passengers were allowed to sleep until the last moment and then the vessel quickly flooded and foundered, well, then the tragedy makes more sense. So the question remains, was a door left open or not? At this point, does anyone know for sure? Does anyone know the answer to that?
I don't know. Just don't know.
Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.